With the Macho Team Blue Lock Japan and the French U20 team still underway, I'm sure many of us are thinking about the future of the series going into the match against England, especially given the events that are transpiring in this game against France. This led me to wonder what Ego would be thinking going into the England game as well, especially in terms of the starting lineup. Against France, he didn't make any changes compared to Nigeria, but I don't think he would try to do the same thing against the birthplace of modern football, England. Now to address the obvious elephant in the room, we know essentially nothing about the English national team. All we do know is that they lost to France, Agi might be on the team, and some dude on Blue Lock Twitter considered them on the same level as France. So yeah, not much to go off of. But based on what England is like in real life and what we learn from Manshine, I believe we can actually make an educated guess on what the team would be like. Now the reason I think we can use what real world England is like to try and determine what Blue Lock England is like is because Kaneshiro has shown time and time again how big of a football fan he is, and reference things from real life all the time, especially earlier in the story. Now he did shy away from doing this as the story went on because the story has stayed in 2018 and we're in 2026 now, so the state of football has changed, but this shows the real world does have an influence on Blue Lock. I look at Hugo, his entire philosophy is being second best, and it's been confirmed that he plays for the club most infamously known for always coming second, so it's clear Kaneshiro does know what he's doing. Now what does this mean for Blue Lock's version of England? I believe that they are going to be an extremely physical team that's going to not be as technical, but far more brute force focused. My reasoning for this is that the English Premier League is known as the most physical league in the world. This is a sentiment that's echoed by Ego when explaining England's football at the start of the NEL, when he mentions how the league is known for its prodigious speed and rushing abilities, and how goals are stolen by brute force and physical capabilities reign supreme. So I think that the way the English team is going to aim to win is by simply relying on physical stats above all else to completely overwhelm opponents regardless of tactics. Doing this by trying to outpace the opposition, wrestle them off the ball to gain back possession, and be strong enough to keep possession when the enemy tries to do the same. And be dominant in the air so as to capitalize on long balls when countering and in corners. I think Manshine City as a team perfectly reflected this, as the entire thing was upping your physicals, and when we look at them on a technical level, they weren't that crazy. The entire philosophy was to get strong enough to play as your ideal and then use those physical stats to make that ideal a reality. Chiguri had to use his speed to get into his golden zone. The entire strategy with Nagi was to just get him the ball and then have him figure out a way to win using his physical gifts to beat his opponents, and the only two who were more so in a tactical role were Rayo and Agi. But for Rayo, that's simply how he is as a Metavision user, and when it comes to his training, he was just trained to physically be capable of copying Sai and Rin to try and score his own goals. As for Agi, we see that he is very dominant in the air, but that whole game Agi was purposely taking a back seat because he was trying to coach Nagi, so this is really the only time we see a glimpse of his talents. But we know that he should also somewhat be tactical given his nickname of the Doctor, but that doesn't take away from his clear physical gifts. And having a couple technical players doesn't change the philosophy of an entire team, especially when they both are still embodying what the team's true philosophy is. Which is why I think England is going to be a far more physically demanding team instead of anything else. Now what does that mean for the starting lineup? Well, obviously we're going to need players who can compete in this environment. This means that when selecting who starts, Ego is going to have to take physical capability into account first and foremost and try to strike a balance between that and technical capability on the field. This means that players who can't physically keep up would be foregone, because even if they can perceive what's happening on the field, it means nothing if they can't keep up or compete during the plays. Now with that all taken into account, let's get into the starting lineup. Starting off in goal, we're going to have none other than Gin Gagamaru. Come on, who else would it be? There is no way forward Kakugen is ever seeing the pitch in this tournament unless Gagamaru either gets a red or gets injured, so having him in goal is a no-brainer. He also literally wrestles bears in the woods and wins, so when they're trying to overpower him during corners, he won't be a pushover and will be able to focus on the ball. Now as for our three centre backs, they're going to be Aiku, Ryu and Raichi. Aiku also being the captain for the squad for the game. Now Aiku is obviously meant to be the best defender in the program. He's not really showing it right now against France, but he is supposed to be. And he is the captain, so we have to put him in. He's also the resident Metavision user in the backline, which is going to be necessary for when the opposing team's attack breaks through. Aiku also has shown aerial capability with his snake thing, so that included is basically a no-brainer. Ryu is in a similar boat. He's always gotten in on the basis of his physical specs, specifically his height, which has come in handy, and once again this will be useful in aerial duels, with his height giving him a major advantage. Now Raichi is most definitely the dark horse of this lineup, but hear me out. Raichi's entire thing from the very beginning has been his physical prowess, with his stamina being the highlight of this. Due to his insane stamina reserves, Raichi can man-mark incoming attackers and cut down their options, which would make it easier for a player like Aiku to read what they're going to do and stop it, and then begin to counter-attack. Raichi's man-marking will also allow for time for anyone upfield to get back and bolster the defenses, since Raichi has been shown to keep even Snuffy, the best overall player, occupied. Physically, Raichi is no slouch. He was able to beat Tokimitsu in a duel, so Raichi will also be an asset during corners if they come up, and due to his physicality and protracted defending, he won't be shaken off easy by attackers. All in all, I think this makes Raichi perfect for our third centre back in this match. Now in the centre mid, I'm going to have Karasu. Karasu as a Metavision user can read the field well and has also shown his defensive capabilities when it comes to interceptions, and is also a main factor in kicking off counter-attacks, something this team would need. Due to how good he is at reading the field and intercepting the ball, he could easily combo with Raichi, cutting off any passes and attacker sends once they realize they can't shake off Raichi. I know right now there's a whole Blue Lock Civil War going on, but in terms of sheer merit and skill set, I think Karasu deserves a spot on the team. For our right middle, I have Rayo. Rayo is pretty much an everyman. He can track back, he can link up for attack, he can defend, he can counter. Whatever we need, the chameleon is on it. I see Rayo being someone who covers for wherever Karasu isn't at the moment, since Rayo also has Metavision and due to his copying ability can fill any role. So if Karasu is linking up with the attack, Rayo stays back to defend. If Karasu is on defense, Rayo remains upfield ready for the counter attack. And for particularly dangerous attacks, you can always have both track back too. For the left middle, I have Kunigami, another physical monster who is experienced in duels and as a striker. My reasoning for putting Kunigami in the middle is because I feel this is where he can shine the most. He can duel with players to either get the ball off them or create a situation where other teammates can get the ball, and once again, for corners, someone of his physicality is great. On offense, Kunigami has an extremely long-range shot, being capable of shooting from 40 meters out, so due to that, I think him being in midfield is perfect. On the left wing, I have Bachira. Bachira provides unmatched dribbling which can confuse opponents, and this coupled with his passing can create great attacking opportunities. Bachira may not be known for his physicality, but I believe his dribbling can make up for that, and his main goal this game is to be a support player, not charge in by himself. So his focus should be to draw attention, confuse opponents, and then get the ball to the strikers. On the wing I have Hiyori. Hiyori is the support player with the greatest passing ability in the Blue Lock program. He's one of the best Metavision users in the program as well, and with his capability to read the field on a similar level to Isagi and adapt to the ever-changing circumstances of the field and respond accordingly, he's an invaluable member of the team. Hiyori also has shown that he can get out of situations where he has been completely boxed in before, which will be helpful if England tries to overwhelm him. Now the reason I placed Hiyori on the right was also so that he could link up with the striker I have on the right, that being the zesty demon Ryusei Shido. Now I think Hiyori and Shido might generally be a match made in heaven. Both their playstyles and egos complement each other perfectly, with Shido's propensity to go off on his own to whatever his instinct dictates is the best spot in the field, and Hiyori's mindset of always going for the most optimal play and expecting a striker to keep up with what that is. I believe they can make an extremely deadly combo. Shido is also a player that will go for the craziest ways possible to score, and even if England tries to commit players to restrict his freedom and cut him off, all that does is leave other attacking options open, such as our final player and the king of the pitch, Baro Shoei. Baro is once again a physically dominant player, and even his training from what we've seen was focused on enhancing this aspect of his play. Baro would also thrive in this environment. If Shido does well, Baro can devour him like he did versus France and score. If England tries to lock down Baro when he has the ball, he's a restricted type, so he'll thrive at that, and with Hiyori, Rayo and Bachira as support, as well as Shido and Kunigami as either decoys or prey, the conditions are optimal for the king to conquer. Now to address the elephant in the room, yes, I am benching Isagi and Rin. For Isagi, my reasoning is simple. Isagi just isn't physically all that. Throughout the entire manga, that has constantly been highlighted as one of Isagi's main weaknesses, and in a game as physically demanding as I think this one will be, I don't think starting Isagi is the correct move. As for Rin so far has been unable to replicate his peak performance without either Isagi or Sai on the field. It's shown when he's reflecting on his ego that Isagi and Sai live in his head rent-free, and during the PXG he's constantly evolving in response to Isagi, not evolving first. Even during Nigeria, he surpassed what he's normally capable of because Isagi was the one in the way. Like notice how in France when Isagi is being silenced, Rin suddenly starts ghosting as well. Rin is too dependent right now, and until he proves otherwise, fielding without Isagi simply just isn't an option. Now this is the formation I think they'll use to start off with. Now next up I want to talk about the subs. Starting the second half, I think Bachira and Rayo should come off and be replaced with Chigiri and Zantetsu, accompanied by a formation change as well. My reasoning for this is because I think due to the nature of the first half's physical battle, England's players will start to fatigue, and by bringing on two speedsters, EU can take advantage of that fact while simultaneously wearing them down even more. Karasu shifting to the CDM role will mean he will be far more defense oriented, and Iori, now at right middle, will serve as the crux of most of the attacks, with Chigiri being a constant offensive threat on the left wing with his speed and 44 Panther snipe. Zantetsu being on the right serves as another piece to support Shido, as he has experience doing so since he was part of the Shido system in the NEL, and with his speed he can also be an integral part of creating attacking opportunities. Now, assuming the game only has 3 subs, I think the final sub would be bringing on Isagi in the last minutes of the game. Just because Isagi is on the bench doesn't mean his brain has to stop working. And by seeing everyone's plays on both teams while being completely undistracted, I think Isagi can accurately prepare himself for what's needed when he comes on and be an absolute game changer. As for who he'll replace, I think it'll be Shido. This is simply because as long as Isagi performs, Baru will continue to thrive. Shido is too much of a wild card to say what would happen if him and Isagi were the only 2 strikers on the field, so he's gonna have to come off. Now, although Isagi won't physically be able to keep up, he has all the pieces to not have to compete physically, especially in a scenario where everyone else is fatigued, so he can manipulate them all accordingly and create a situation where he can score. And that is my prediction for who should play versus England. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and maybe even a sub if you want to see more anime and manga analysis content. And I hope you all have a great day or night whenever you're watching this, and I hope to see you all next time.